live on a sunny and cold Sunday afternoon. Welcome on into the bullpen. I'm your host, Adam the Bull. I was about to say the Animal House. And those of you who have followed my career for a long time know what that means. But, man, and I've been said that for over 2.5 years, but I almost said that there. This, of course, is the bullpen. I am Adam the Bull, and it's brought to you by Bet Rivers. If you're not using the Bet Rivers app, what are you doing? Football, basketball, tennis, baseball, the World Series, and more. Check it all out by using Bet Rivers today. I had a 3-leg parlay that did not hit. I had Lamar Jackson over on the yardage that hit. I had him over on his rushing yardage that did not hit. And I had Jameis Winston throwing a pick, which did not happen, although he almost threw about 5 of them. But my gosh, what a difference watching this Browns team play with a competent NFL quarterback. And I think what we have learned, I'm going to start with the bigger picture, and then I'll circle back to specifically this game. I think what we've now learned, sadly, is that Deshaun Watson has gone from being one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL to clearly one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. And the number one reason why is beyond obvious. And I know that, unfortunately, a lot of people are going to point to the change at play caller. Who knows what kind of a difference that made? I don't believe it made much, if any, of a difference in this game. Although I can't help notice that clock management was better today. Although I guess some would disagree with giving the Ravens a chance there at the end. But what we learned is that your last 2 quarterbacks that have played besides Deshaun Watson, Joe Flacco and Jameis Winston, what these 2 guys have in common is they're not afraid to make a bad throw. Jameis Winston threw a number of bad throws in this game, including on that final drive where they scored the touchdown to Cedric Tillman, and we'll get into him. He threw just the easiest pick you could ever throw. Kyle Hamilton had the ball right in his hands. And had he picked it off, the game was over and the Browns would lose. And what did they do? You know, right before that play, I tweeted out, don't get conservative here. I don't want to settle for a long field goal. Don't get conservative. Bad coaches get conservative, play to win. One play later, Jameis Winston throws what should have been an easy pick. Hamilton drops it. The Browns, from that point, could have easily gotten conservative and said, you know what? We took a chance. Jameis made a terrible throw. Let's not mess around. Let's just get a few yards and kick a field goal. But they didn't do it. They doubled down, and they got aggressive again. You see, Deshaun Watson is scared to make a mistake. He's been scared for a couple of years. That just fully came into, we've talked around it to some degree, but it just cemented for me today how cowardly Deshaun Watson played football. Jameis Winston, like Joe Flacco before him, played without a conscience. He went out there knowing that he was going to take chances. What was the difference? The difference was he threw it down the field with belief. And yeah, he made some bad throws, but he made a lot of good ones too. And every time the Browns fell behind, or every time the Ravens took the lead, or tied the game, he drove them down the field again. And after that near pick, for them to, instead of going conservative, the opposite, getting even more aggressive and hitting Cedric Tillman for a touchdown, that was unbelievable. And the thing I'm really upset about, actually, on this day is that they didn't do it sooner. They should have put in Jameis Winston 2 weeks ago. Who knows where the Browns would be? Now, listen, you never know. Maybe they'll win their last 10 in a row or 9 in a row at this point. Crazier things, I guess, have happened. But come on, we got to live in the real world. The Browns are not going to make the playoffs, even with this win, even though they look better. And I know some of us will try to con ourselves into believing, oh, yeah, the way they played today, they can win 9 in a row. Yeah, but they're not. And you know that, and I know that. But maybe if they made the change a couple of weeks ago, it would have been a different story. But on this day, an emotional day, fans reeling from the loss of Jim Donovan, fans being frustrated by the criticisms from players about fan behavior when Deshaun Watson got hurt, the emotions of another season going down the tubes, the emotions still there from Nick Chubb returning, the emotions of the only good moment in Deshaun Watson's Cleveland Browns history when he led the way to beating the Ravens last year. A lot of emotions in play. And the Browns won a slugfest. Something I didn't think they could do. I actually thought the Browns defense played pretty well in this game. Listen, in the end, Lamar made some plays. But, and they put up 24 points. But this is an offense that has been prolific. It's been as good, if not better, than any offense in the league. And obviously the fumble by Winston earlier in the game led to some easier points for Baltimore. But I thought for the most part the Browns defense played well. The Browns just looked like a different football team today. Last week their defense looked different. This week the whole team looked different. There was an energy. There was a confidence from the whole team. It was great to see. And, and that's without really much of a running game. Nick Chubb had the one nice 15-yard run, but he still doesn't look like himself. It's going to take more time than that. He averaged, especially late, he didn't really get much on the ground. 16 carries for 52 yards. But Jameis Winston made some really nice throws. And after years of complaining that the Browns have wasted one draft pick after another on a wide receiver, Cedric Tillman, for the second straight week, came to play. This guy had done nothing for a year and change. And now, last week, 8 catches on 12 targets, 81 yards. Today, 7 catches on 9 targets, 99 yards and 2 touchdowns. It was fantastic to see. And maybe Mikey McNugget's preseason prediction of Cedric Tillman being second on the Browns in wide receiving yards may not be crazy. In fact, who knows? He might be wrong because Cedric Tillman could end up leading the Browns in receiving yards. Where is he now? Cedric Tillman, he has 189. So he's behind a few guys, but I mean, at this point, he could lead the team in receiving. I think that's entirely possible. Elijah Moore played well today. He had a nice game. He had a ton of targets as well. What did he have? Yeah, 12 targets, 8 catches, 85 yards. Jerry Jeudy at 5 for 79 on 8 targets. David Njoku, 5 on 7 targets for 61 yards and a touchdown. It's been a while since the Browns had a 4 pass catchers with 60 or more yards. Deshaun Watson never threw for 300 yards as a Cleveland Brown. Not once. Not once. And he played against some bad pass defenses. Not once. Jameis Winston did it today. Oh, but Deshaun Watson's rusty. He's dealing with this. That is fucking bullshit. Deshaun Watson sucks ass. Rusty, Jameis Winston hadn't started a game in over 2 years. And he threw for 334 yards. Why? Because he's got guts, and Deshaun Watson has none. He's scared of his own shadow. I shouldn't even waste any time on Deshaun Watson. Jameis did a good job. Got the Browns to win. We'll see if they can build on it. Last week we were talking about, well, they're better off losing. And, but once you play a game like this, it's not over till it's over. We know the Browns have like a 1% chance to make the playoffs. Doesn't matter. You play like you're trying to win until it's not possible. And even then, as a player, you still play to win. I thought for the most part they did a great job defensively on Derrick Henry. I didn't think Lamar Jackson played very well. He could have had a number of picks also. And what you saw here was when there was pressure, and the offensive line played pretty well. Why? Because they weren't worried about Jameis bouncing around. They knew he was going to get rid of the ball in a timely manner. He got sacked twice. Once was a fumble. But overall, he played well. The defense played very well. Diabate, a big penalty, but then he made up for it. He made his presence felt. We're hoping for the best with JOK. It was a neck injury. You saw in the broadcast that he put the thumbs up. It was scary. They got that card out. They immobilized him quickly. I'm sitting on my couch saying, oh, God, don't let this be anything serious. And it's, I'm not going to say it's not serious. But the fact that he was able to move his hand, that's, and the report for the Browns was that he was able to move all his extremities, was obviously a major sigh of relief. Good. Way to be up on things, April. I like that. April says, I'd say the Browns have a 45% chance of going 9-0 the rest of the way. Quincy Carrier, probably. Hey, Quincy's a good dude. He was crazy on that one, but I like Quincy, and he does good work. But that was a funny argument. And so that's the update, and we'll wait for more on Denzel Ward. It looks like Denzel Ward, I mean, man, I don't even know what to say about Denzel Ward when it comes to concussions at this point. We could say all we want. This is crazy. He shouldn't play. I'm not going to tell I'm not going to tell guys what to do with their own bodies. We're not his parents. He's a grown man. He's got to decide for himself what he's going to do. But it's, what is it, 7 now? It's scary stuff. He did officially, Browns confirmed it. He did officially have a concussion. It's 6th, not 7th, 6th documented concussion, 2nd this year. 6th since joining the Browns. The Browns documented since 2018. That is a crazy amount of injuries, of concussions. So, but and then on that, the final, I'm kind of going back and forth, big picture, small picture. But what was wild is that final drive after the Browns score with a minute left, and I'm sure you were all as nervous as I was. You're like, it's a lot of time. Lamar has been great this year. They didn't have Denzel for that final drive. They didn't have JOK for that final drive. And they still made the stops they needed to. I know they got close. Threw it up in the end zone. But close doesn't mean shit. They didn't get it done. And I would say I was not impressed by the Ravens, but I think a lot of that was the way the Browns played. What's funny is it feels like in a lot of ways that the Browns really kicked their ass in this game, and yet they were one dropped interception away from losing. A game that I really thought the Browns dominated. So, yeah. So that was kind of crazy. Yeah, I'm looking for more updates on the injury to JOK, and at this point, I've only seen that it's a neck injury. I haven't seen anything more than that. So we'll hope for the best. Obviously, from a football standpoint, being without JOK and Denzel Ward for entire games is a disaster. Those are 2 of your 3 best players. But obviously, way more important is their health as human beings. And again, with Denzel Ward having his 6th concussion and what looked to be a very serious injury to JOK, again, if you're just joining me, he is moving all his extremities. And so that's great news, obviously. Let's get some comments from the chat. It was really a nice win. I'll get to the comments in a minute. It was back and forth. I know, in the first half, Jameis was moving the offense, but they couldn't get in the end zone. The fumble by Jameis that led to the touchdown. And like I said at the end of the game, at halftime, it felt like the Browns had kicked their ass and they were down 10-6. But in the second half, the offense really got cooking. 3 touchdowns in the second half. It's the best offensive half of football the Browns have played all year. Browns hadn't scored 20 points in a game this season. They scored 23 in the second half. More points in the second half than they scored in any other game this season. You could see the relief on Kevin Stefanski's face at the end of the game as he's running across the field. He's fired up. You don't see that kind of emotion on the field. In the locker room, yeah, but on the field, you don't really see that kind of emotion from Kevin Stefanski very often, but we got it on this day. All right, let's get to some comments here. Cleveland 2022, this proves no matter how good your defense is, you need to score to win. And the Browns do not have a good defense. The Browns do have a good defense. It's not great. It's now I'm going to be missing 2 of its best players. But the Browns defense has been much better the last couple of weeks. I think it's good. I think it's fine. But the offense had been terrible before today. But yeah, you have to have the offense. You can't win with just defense. This is not 1985. Let's see. Daryl says JOK out indefinitely. Yeah. I don't. We'll have to wait and see with more details on his situation. Cleveland 2022. I don't like JOK. Okay, good for you. Tafster Stefanski out now. Why would you fire Stefanski now off this game? I don't understand. I wouldn't have fired him off of last week anyway. Mark, offense will start playing harder for a quarterback they believe in. Divergent says you won't know for sure till Tuesday, but JOK out at least a week or 2. Listen, we don't know how long he's out. We should have a better update tomorrow on that. Let's see. Edward, when the fans can run the team better than the front office and owner, it's time to let them all go. Now, that's not true. Well, I mean, the owner's a sleazebag. I mean, what are you going to do? The owner's a criminal. He's a sleaze. They're promoting the Milwaukee Bucks on their website. That was embarrassing. I don't give a rat's ass that the owner owns that team. And we shouldn't give a fucking nickel to Jimmy Haslam for that stadium. Let him pay for the whole freaking thing. Not 1 cent of tax dollars for the county or the state should go to Jimmy Haslam's pocket. Fuck him. Let's see. East Cleveland Chiefs youth football. Stop talking about Deshaun and talk about the win. I did talk about the win. All right, my son is calling me. Hey, Aaron, I'm on the air right now, buddy. Call your mom, okay? All right. Joseph said, I came from your brothers on UCSS. Now we're coming to you for some cold truth. Give it to us. What's the cold truth? I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. I was kind of a little busy right before the show, in between the game and the show, and I didn't get a chance to listen to the guys yet. Teller being back helped, sure. He did have 1 penalty, which didn't help. Red Right, when the pass left Jameis' hand and reached its apogee, and saw Tillman's position, we started to celebrate. Yes. J-Bomb, Bulls in a much chipper mood. Good for you. They won. Of course I'm going to be in a better mood. I got a couple people saying it's a neck stinger. I didn't see that. I haven't seen that, but I'm not sure. I don't want to until I know for sure on that. Maybe you guys got the jump on me that instead. Hall active, Tillman cooked. Yeah, I mean there were definitely some positives in this game. You feel like the roster's not as bad as you thought it had. Like for much of the season, we're like, we overrated the roster. You get good quarterback play. Well, the roster looks better. Darius Smith played very well. Very well in this game. I thought he really had a big-time presence in this game. Myles Garrett was very quiet. He really didn't do anything in the game. It was just a very quiet game for him. Let's see. Mr. I Crap and Shit said, who saw DeJuan Jones play left tackle better than Jedrick Wills? It's funny. DeJuan Jones has been terrible this year, but he did play well. I mean, I wasn't watching him every play. But it seemed like he played much better. Edward Zupan, look at the Commanders. Got rid of their shitty owner and poof magic. Well, poof magic. They got Jaden Daniels. And they got rid of the shitty owner. But if they had gotten rid of the shitty owner and drafted a shitty quarterback, they wouldn't be any good. Let's see. Tafster, Andrew Berry is stealing a living. Papa Novak, Deshaun did the grand opening. Divergent, now that our quarterback play is better, maybe we call Woods up from the practice squad, see if there's anything there. All right. I'm not really interested in that. I mean, your top three receivers, Tillman, Judy, and Moore, all played well today. World's fastest fat man Bull was wrong on the O-line play. Who saw that coming? What was I wrong about? I'm not sure what I was wrong about. What did I say about the O-line play? World's fastest fat man. Optimus Prime, hashtag Jameis for president. I'll pass. We don't need any more celebrity presidents. Why do you call Jimmy a criminal? Because his company was convicted of ripping off people. He's not a good dude. Owen River, when the co-host of your daily show, Earl and G. Bush, be called out for those ridiculous takes about Watson. I don't know what they said. Yeah, I'm not going to call out my cohorts first. I don't know what you're getting at exactly. Frank says, enough about the owner. We don't decide if he sells the team. That's true. Josh Smith looked good. He did. Mark spread the ball around. What a concept. Great. Mike says Mike Hall showing it. I crap and shit's asking about Kadarius Toney. He can't catch. Karen, I love the Browns so much, Bull, and I love you and your family, Browns forever. Thank you, Karen. Love you too. Oh, because they said Watson would throw for. I mean, listen. We all thought Watson was good. I mean, Earl and G. Bush were on the Watson bandwagon longer than many others, but they've already admitted they were wrong. Who's still arguing for Deshaun Watson? I don't need to call them out. Divergent. Haslam is just Jerry Jones without the lucky run from the mid-'90s. That was all Jimmy Johnson. Frank says, Bull, you should be a Speedo model. That's true. Tafster, trade Newsom. He couldn't get much. Bull, do we now jump on the Dorsey Winston bandwagon? Love the show. Thank you. Hey, listen, you got to keep playing Winston. And again, as I said in the beginning of the show, you believe whatever you want. But I don't think that I wanted Kevin Stefanski to give it the play calling because I thought he needed to have a stronger focus on the management of the team, and I thought that was a positive. I don't buy that it was they played better because of the play calling. They just had a quarterback executing. Let's see. Michael says, "Hey, Bills fan here. Since y'all would be 6-2 if you guys would have played Winston earlier, can we have Teller back?" Browns wouldn't be 6-2, but they'd be certainly better than 2-6. You can't have Teller back. Jimmy Bain, what's your thoughts on Dorsey's play calling? When the game goes well, we like the play calling. When it doesn't go well, we don't like the play calling. I don't think much changed with Ken Dorsey calling the plays as opposed to Kevin Stefanski. What changed was the quarterback. That's the much bigger deal here to me. G. Bush still thinks it's all Stefanski. All right, so G. Bush and I will debate that tomorrow. Mike Bull, you have horns. Don't you have ears? G. Bush needs to own DW and Tillman and rebuilding everywhere. Well, then call him out. What do you want me to do? If I disagree with G. Bush, we debate on the show. I'm not going to rip him here. He's entitled to his opinion. Bryce says, Bull, any chance the Browns can make a run and go to the playoffs? 1 out of 100. It would be awesome. I'd like to see it, but they probably got to win every game the rest of the year to make the playoffs. And the odds of any team winning 10 in a row is almost nothing. Daryl, Bull, you're the best. Go Browns. Thank you, Daryl. I appreciate that. And you're right. I mean, how can I argue with that? I'm not talking about the Cavs right now. Tony Two-Turn, if we win the division, do we make the playoffs? What do you mean if we win the division? Oh, Tony is one of these guys. There's always a couple of guys that are confused every year that think if you have the best record in your division, that automatically means you win the division. You don't. You win the division with the best overall record, not division record. Division record is just a tiebreaker. Papa Novak, do you trade a first to get rid of Groper Cleveland and his contract? No, I'm not giving up a first. Let's just tell Watson to go home. Joe Mannix, Tillman, the next Cooper. Come on, let's take one step at a time. Positive 2 games in a row. Let's not get nuts. Patrick, Browns would only need to win 7. See, now you're going to get nuts. Are the Browns going to win 7? You really think the Browns are going to go 7-2 because they played good? We know this. The reason the Browns sucked every week, then they played better this week. Every week's a new week. Just because they played this well this week doesn't mean they're going to play that well. The odds of the Browns going 7-2, which won't make the playoffs, most likely. You're not likely going to make the playoffs at 9-8. But okay, let's say you can. That means they have to win 8 of their last 10. It's just not, I want it to happen, folks. I know some of you think I don't. You got to be realistic. I'm not, you know what? Let's hope. Until you keep playing a win until you can't. I'm not going to poo-poo your dreams. Be realistic about how realistic that possibility is. That's all I'm saying. Rich B, love the show. Bull, keep up the good work. Thank you, Rich. Akimbo RPGs. I don't know if we win anything this year, but it was nice to win this one. Yeah, it was. Josh T, you just eat the money and move on. Correct. Exceptional life. Kevin Stefanski gets credit for this one. I agree. Charbo 187. Adam, I was listening to you on 92.3 The Fan when the Watson trade happened, and you were so pumped. I was. Thought it was going to be a steal of a trade, and it was for the Texans. I thought it would be a steal of the trade for the Browns. I couldn't be more wrong. Teddy Fenn, can you see them finishing respectfully? Yes, I can. The way they looked with Jameis makes you think there'll be some games where they'll play at this level and be able to win. The schedule's too tough for them to likely make, again, I got to be realistic about it. But respectfully, sure. That didn't look like a team that's going to only win 2 games this year. It really looked like a completely different team. I thought they'd be better today, but they played way better than I expected. John says people having trouble enjoying a win, getting crazy and starting to do algebra, trying to figure out if the Browns can make the playoffs. Enjoy today and live in the moment. I think that makes sense. Edward, epic fail having DTR as the number 2 last week. I want to know whose decision that was. Not unfair. Rich B, with Jameis, we're undefeated. The dream is still alive. That is correct. S. Soul, is Stefanski still on the hot seat now, though? Genuine question. He was never on my hot seat. He was only on a hot seat because Jimmy Haslam's a lunatic, and you never know what he's going to do. So, yeah, he's still on the hot seat, I would think. Papa Novak, my dad's been a Browns fan almost 50 years. Was really glad to get him this win. Mike, Bucks win, Yanks lose, Browns win. Yeah, it was a good weekend. Although Ohio State played like shit, let's be honest. And Ryan Day is a softie. Ugh. I don't like Ryan Day. I wish I could say more. I just don't like Ryan Day. I don't think and he does nothing in the big games, and they barely beat a terrible Nebraska team. Yankees losing 2 to the Dodgers was awesome, especially that first game when they gave up the lead in the 9th and then the walk-off grand slam. Shatufu, love you, Bull. Thank you. B. Skrills, come on, Bull. What are you laughing about? I don't know. Come on about what? Let's see. I still think Vrabel took the job at Cleveland because he's waiting for the Ohio State job. Does he want to deal with college and the NIL and all that stuff? I'm not sure. Antoine, Bull, this is sports. Is it possible for the Browns to win at least 7 games, give themselves a chance with the quarterback play? Your thoughts? Anything's possible. Do I think the Browns are going to win 7 games? No. 7 more games out of 9? No. Why would anybody realistically think that? But, of course, it's possible. I'll give them a 3% chance of going 7-2. That's better than nothing. That means it would happen 3 out of every 100 times. KR Thunder, the Kool-Aid Mafia lives. Is that true? I've got to confirm that with G. Bush tomorrow. Mike says, loved your language about Jimmy Haslam and his stadium plans, Bull. Felt almost as good as the win. Let's hear it again. Yeah, fuck him. Don't give him a single dollar. Let the billionaire pay for his friggin' stadium, his playground of money-making, for himself. The rich and powerful want us to fight with each other, people. But we'll never get it, and we'll keep fighting with each other. Sucks. This way, and the poor get poorer, and the middle class get poorer, and the super wealthy continue to get super wealthy. It's unbelievable. I crap and shits, Bull. How old is that picture of you in the thumbnail? A lot less gray. Then again, covering the Browns can age you quickly. It's pretty. I was picture's like 2012, 2013, so it is old. I'll give you that. I like the picture though. Rob says, why do we downgrade receivers without consistent, competent quarterback play? I'm not sure what that means exactly. Matthew says, Adam the Bull for governor. I'd be a good governor. I would be. Because I would be willing to work with all political parties. I think compromise, I think for too many in politics, it's become just about winning and beating the other guy. I would compromise. I would do what is best for the majority of people. I would be thoughtful about every decision. I would listen to all sides of arguments. I think I'd be a better governor than our current governor. He's a weasel. Yeah, DJ, that's pretty true. George Carlin did have it right, Rich B. Somebody's calling me Fetterman from Pennsylvania. I got to work. I got my sweatshirt. I guess if I would have done the show. Oh, I just almost knocked it. I should have done the show on my sweatshirt. Then I would have been Fetterman there. Oh, I have to shave my head. I give him credit. One of the few white dudes that can pull off a bald head. I mean, he looks like kind of a lunatic, but it's not a bad look. And most white guys look like idiots with bald heads. Our president's too much work. I mean, I would do it. I believe I'd be a good candidate, but I don't want to be president. Too much pressure there. I would do it, though. Who am I kidding? I do want to be president. But it's never going to happen. Yo, Bull, are you from the Bronx or Brooklyn? I'm from Brooklyn. Pizza does sound good, Josh. Thank you, Junkyard Dog. I appreciate it. Let's see. William says they need to fire Dee Podesta and Chuck Berry and Kevin Stefanski and make Bill Belichick. You see, this is what stupid organization. No offense, William Snodgrass. Bill Belichick's been a terrible GM for the last decade. He's like 70. You want to put him in charge of the whole organization? That'd be the dumbest thing ever. How did I become a Bengals fan? My dad was a Browns fan when I was a kid. Not when I was a kid. When he was a kid. He was a Browns fan. I've told this story before, but maybe you folks haven't heard it. My dad was a Browns fan as a kid. And so, because he loved Paul Brown. And he loved Jim Brown. But when the Browns got rid of Paul Brown, stupid move, he was angry about it, and he switched allegiance to the Bengals, as you know, before I was even born. So that's how. If Paul Brown had not been let go by the Browns, which was one of the dumbest moves ever by an organization that made a lot of dumb moves, then I would have been born and raised a Browns fan, and nobody could have given me any shit. Jonathan, what's next for the Browns? Well, you're going to try for a miracle comeback this year and try to make the playoffs. It's kind of the worst case scenario if you end up winning 7-8 games this year. Don't make the playoffs because then you're not in position to get a quarterback. But, you know, eventually the Browns are going to have to draft another quarterback or get another long-term answer. But you know what? The way we've seen Geno Smith turn his career around in Seattle, Sam Darnold, through half a season, turned his career around in Minnesota. Jared Goff and Baker Mayfield a little different because they had at least some level of success. Goff more than Mayfield before. And Baker, it's interesting about Baker. There's a lot of similarity. And so my point is that maybe Jameis Winston can, carry the torch for a year or so. I don't know. It's one game. I don't want to get carried away. He's had his moments. He's played well in this league. He's played as well in this league as Baker has. And really, there are a lot of similarities between Baker and Jameis. Baker is playing in Tampa kind of like Jameis did. Good amount of touchdowns, too many picks, middle-of-the-road team. That's what he's been. That's what Jameis was there. Not bad. And Baker's thrown a lot of touchdowns this year. But he's thrown too many picks. He's thrown 7 picks in his last 10 quarters. But he also shows you a lot of great moments. And Jameis kind of did the same thing. By the way, and I've been really, I don't troll at all, except every once in a blue moon I troll about Baker. And last week I put out a couple of tweets about Baker's interceptions. And I had the Baker bros all hot and bothered. But the truth is, you can't really. I see people when I tweet about Baker, a negative tweet about Baker, and when I see people tweeting about defending, listen, the argument's over. I mean, Baker's obviously a lot better than Deshaun Watson. We'll never know what he would have been if he'd stayed here. I don't think he would have been as good as he is now. I ultimately don't think Baker's good enough to win a championship. But let's be fair about it. Baker's playing pretty solid football. Again, too many turnovers. It's always been his problem. He's a flawed player. But let's not try to argue that Baker's not playing pretty well for Tampa. Let's be genuine about it. Aaron Rodgers sucks. We all get things right and wrong. I make a million mistakes. I did not think the Jets were going to be good, and they're not good. They're 2-6. They've lost 5 in a row. They're a bad football team, and where are they going? Aaron Rodgers is 4. Everybody thought they'd be great. I said all offseason, if you listen to me, he's 40. He's distracted. He's coming off a torn Achilles. I said, I'm not a believer. And everybody nationally loved the guy. I'm looking right here, although who knows? There you go. All right, folks. I love you all. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast yet, please do so. I'll be back with another podcast Tuesday. I'll also be on live Thursday at 2 p.m. Once again, the final, Browns win it 29-24. Jameis Winston gets the victory in his first start as a Cleveland Brown. 27 of 41, 334 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, although he easily could have thrown a few, including what would have ended the game. And I don't think Kyle Hamilton's going to be sleeping well tonight. But he showed the moxie, guts, grits. Grits is breakfast, not grit. And the next play throws a touchdown at Tillman. Jameis plays with a lot of balls. I'll give him that. He's fun to watch. And the Browns, for the first time since Joe Flacco, were fun to watch. They were. It had a lot of that Joe Flacco feel today. Good job, Jameis. And I got to say, I'm a little excited about Cedric Tillman right now. I mentioned this earlier in the show. 2 straight good games. I'll be keeping an eye on him the rest of the way. Thanks to Z and Max for producing. I still got the remnants of this, whatever I have. It's been going around my house for 3 weeks. My wife had pneumonia. I think I might have I don't even know. I got a little, you can't even know if you can hear it. Like my throat is a little cloggy. Anyway, love you all. Enjoy the rest of the Sunday. You'll be able to watch games this weekend without feeling miserable about the Browns. That's great. And we'll see if they can keep it going next week. Next week, can the Browns do it again? We shall see. Can they win their second straight game before the bye? If they do, then people are really going to get worked up. Chargers at home. Chargers at home, then the bye, and then they finally go back on the road to play those awful Saints. So if they do beat the Chargers, it's not crazy to think they could be a 3-game winning streak going into that Steeler game just before Thanksgiving. All right, thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you next time. Where else but right here in the Bullpen with Adam the Bull, brought to you by Bet Rivers. See you, everybody.